Good afternoon and welcome. It's another week in the month of May. It's actually Monday the 13th of May 2019. And of course, it's great to be on the show this lovely Monday afternoon again. My name is Patience Belukapo, welcoming you to The Buzz, your social media program on television. And of course, I have joining me two of my regular Monday panelists. Chief Godwin the Great of Mfuwe is here, and Mr. Peter Osangbe is here as well. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Patience.
Good afternoon.
I want to use this opportunity to wish one of your very ardent guests here,
Okay.
Ikemeku. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday to you, brother.
Happy birthday, Mr. Ikem Okuho. Even though you abandoned me on the show, it's all good. Mr. Okuho, happy birthday to you. I hope in Enugu, where you are, there you reserve some fresh food that you've been advertising on Facebook for me. Happy birthday to you. All right, welcome to the show. We'll discuss news stories as they trend on social media, and this afternoon we'll be doing the exact thing on the program today. You can be a part of the show by using the number 0802-836-8971 for SMS only. Already I introduced Mr. Godwin of Mfuwe, who is a renowned journalist, brand analyst, and he's the immediate past president for Brand Journalists Association of Nigeria, also a social commentator. Welcome again, Mr. Mfuwe.
Thank you.
Also, Mr. Peter Osangbe, who is a public relations expert, an astute businessman, and also a social commentator. Welcome again, Mr. Osangbe.
Thank you very much, Patience. Good afternoon again.
Great to be here. All right, we go straight into our program this afternoon. We're starting with trending news, and of course, the first news item on my script here is veteran filmmaker Eddie Ugboma dies at 78. Chief Eddie Ugboma has died at the age of 78. He was scheduled for surgery today, actually, but unfortunately he passed on Saturday afternoon in a Lagos hospital following a protracted illness. Also, the presidency has reacted to the death of Chief Eddie Ugboma, and they released a statement mourning the passing of the veteran filmmaker. The statement reads in part: President Muhammadu Buhari joins the entertainment industry, particularly movie makers, in mourning the passing to glory of veteran filmmaker Eddie Ugboma, who died at 78. President Buhari condoles with the family, friends, and associates of the ace actor, director, and producer, whose contribution to the development of Nigeria's film industry remains indelible. President Buhari also reaffirms that the veteran filmmaker who served as chairman of Nigeria Film Corporation in 1988 understood film as a veritable tool for communication and used it positively for national development. He prays that God will grant Ugboma's soul eternal rest and comfort his family. Here we are, gentlemen. Chief Eddie Ugboma. Is there hardly anyone who doesn't know who he was?
May his soul rest in perfect peace. I believe that Eddie wouldn't have died if adequate attention had been given to him. I am also following his call for support for his surgery on social media by a certain a friend of mine, Swaibo, who's been doing a whole lot. And I think he's always in Nigeria, it's always good for people to come and celebrate with you when your loved one has passed, than when to look for a solution to keep you alive. And I think the presidency is quite aware that Eddie needed help, financial help, to actually get himself back and take himself to the hospital. And by now, this operation would have been today, long time ago. However, that said, I also believe that there must be something that artists, journalists, and other industries that do not enjoy pension should do to help themselves in case of a situation like this, where you don't need to go cap in hand, begging for support for you to stay alive and the rest of it. So I think, and we also know our industry, the copyright law is not strong here, where whatever works that we have done, you can keep benefiting
as
from
a
it.
creative person.
You can benefiting from it until you pass. If it pass on to your children.
Okay.
Do you understand? So we don't have such laws here. Even if we do have, it's not strong. And I think the federal government should find a way to help us have.
We have the laws, but first of all, I share your thoughts on, particularly on what they should do in terms of pension to be able to draw from it. You see, there's a limit to which government can do for individuals. He's a private person, he's a businessman, and you expect that business people like this should be able to invest for their future, for their health, you understand, for their pension. You know, failure which some of these challenges will come up, and then you see them, us, calling on government to do something. Government cannot do something for everybody. The what government owe us as a responsibility is to create an enabling environment for us to thrive, so to speak. Now, what most of these stars do, God bless his soul all the same, but what most of these stars do, particularly filmmakers and footballers and, you know, celebrities, they spend the greater part of their life living good life. I'm not saying that happened to Eddie Uboma, but I'm just saying they live good life, drive the best cars, flashy cars. They don't plan for tomorrow. For the men, they go out with the best women, and they fly first class. But these things don't last forever. You cannot, the way you make your money as a young man is not going to be the way you will be making your money even when you are 70. So it will dwindle. So what are your plans for these things? Just like some footballers, you see them crying and say, government, do what? You earn your income. So what's government doing for me, though?
Well, at
don't
least,
you get?
I think I'll go with Mr. Godwin's line of
Why?
thought. Don't you think the government owes it to the people to ensure that the system works
That's
enough?
That's what I'm saying.
You know, for you to be able to...
Yeah, but let me further, you know, expatiate on the point I'm making.
Go ahead.
You know, the copyright law is there. The greatest problem is the enforcement. Just like
who's function?
no, you know, it's government's role. Now, I run a courier firm. I know that in this industry you have people who do not have license to operating in this Lagos and even in this country.
Sure.
Whereas there is a law that says for you to operate a courier firm, you must have a license from NIPOST.
Yeah.
Now, the NIPOST is incapacitated. They do not have ability to actually enforce that. They will need the law enforcement agents to be able to checkmate that. So if they do that, then you're not going to have, you know, quacks or fake people operating in courier business. So also in the copyright law that he was talking about, if it was actually implemented, do you understand? Somebody like Eddie will be able to be reaping from, that's his pension, so to speak.
What I'm saying. That's the crux of
All right, but can we talk about the works, you know, of Eddie Uboma as a film producer, you know, when he was still with us?
Yeah. The point here is that he was one of the great veterans.
Yes.
And the industry, whether the Nollywood or whatever, whatever state it is today, you know, it is the improvement and all that. It is due to the impact and the things that some people like him, you know, brought to bear. You know, and even people like Chief Steve Ojo. These are great people who have contributed to the development of the industry. And so, in my view, the industry has lost one of its great founders. The industry has lost a great person. But I hope too that he may have been able to impact, what's it called, pass some of these ideas and all that to the younger
generation
ones, you know, who did
filmmakers.
So I think Chief Uboma was very renowned in stage play.
Yes,
he was very renowned in stage play, and that was his photo anyway. So if you have read what the likes of Steve Ayorinde, the Commissioner for Culture, have written about him on social media, the likes of Swibo and the rest of it, you know that this man is a shining light. He was a shining light for this industry, for the film industry. In the other climes, Chief Uboma will not be begging for arms, will not be begging for him to get well. The society would have put a structure in place that would have taken care of all the things that we will go through. You don't need to work for government, for society to prepare for you.
I agree to that completely.
Yeah, but before he died, did he have health insurance though?
Well,
because no, it's true.
How many people really have health insurance in Nigeria?
Other clients,
this is another topic of discourse.
You have traveled far and wide.
Yes, sir.
And you know that in Britain, in US, they don't force people. People don't just involve in health insurance.
Yeah, fine. So that's the challenge.
Okay, so let's not overflog this issue. All right. We pray that the soul of the late Chief Eddie Uboma continues to rest in peace.
Amen.
Moving on, Kenya legalizes polygamy. President Kenyatta of Kenya signed into law a controversial marriage bill legalizing polygamy, allowing men to marry as many partners as they wish without consulting their spouses. The marriage legislation has been under discussion for several years, and some initial proposals were scrapped at committee stages. The bill was also opposed by Christian leaders who urged the president not to sign it into law, saying it undermined Christian principles of marriage and family. And they say further, the tone of that bill, if it becomes law, would be demeaning to women, since it does not respect the principle of equality of spouses in the institution of marriage. So says Archbishop Timothy Ndambuki from the National Council of Churches of Kenya. Well, there's also been a proposal to recognize cohabiting couples known in Kenya as come make we stay relationships after 6 months, but this was dropped. All right, gentlemen.
I really like that phrase, come make we stay. It's so
okay, go ahead.
Obviously, it's unfortunate that instead of us in Africa to look forward to or find a way to develop our communities, we're talking about as many wives as possible a man can get. I feel that in Kenya, while in Nigeria, is it not the law? It cannot even, that law will even pass tomorrow, because if you look at all the National Assembly members, most of them, a majority of them have more than one wife and several concubines, if you ask me. I feel that there are some certain things that lawmakers in Africa should pay attention to. Okay. Such issues should be pushed to the back burners and forget about it. There is nowhere in the world. You see, it's only in the Obama administration that we make the issue of gay marriage become, those issue of sex shouldn't be put forward to a national discourse. So when people in other climes, they are living in space, they are planning to move their family to space, people are doing different things, and you are talking about a man getting 5 wives. When some of us who got one are even struggling to maintain one. Okay. You see, we are struggling.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that by signing that bill, they have just increased the poverty level of that country. Exactly. But as a Christian and indeed as a Catholic, I am appalled, by that. But yet again, the people have a right. It's a democracy. Yeah. If that is what they want and their parliament has agreed to it, good luck to them. But there are those who have proper Christian values will not actually go for that. Yesterday, while we were discussing it, somebody asked me, which one would you prefer? Between somebody having more than one wife or somebody, same-sex marriage. You must choose one. They have risen up against same-sex marriage, which was being imposed on them, to now say, they are opting for this. Okay. That's more important to them than, the other way around. So you want to answer?
Like Peter said, I don't think you actually need a law to marry more than one wife. When I was growing up in my local village, men were getting wives without law, without any legislation. You understand? So in Africa, I think it's a given. It's a waste of time. Okay. It's a waste of resources that government paid them to sit to discuss such issue.
Such an issue. Okay. What I find really sad about the whole thing is not even the fact that they're legalizing polygamy. It's the fact that other legislation that should have been looked at were actually thrown out. For instance, outlawing some sort of widowhood rights that were not favorable to women, and also the right of women to actually inherit properties, from their husband. All those are very important and key to women. Those were thrown out, but marrying more than one wife was actually accepted.
I personally don't have any. I personally don't have any issue with women inheriting from their husbands. It's proper. But personally, I have issues with women inheriting from their fathers.
Oh, really?
Yes, because it borders on double inheritance for women. You know why? In your husband's house, you are going to inherit. And then in your father's house, you are coming to inherit again. That's double. Whereas the man, the man is only going to inherit from his father's house.
Don't you get it? Just leave anything for women.
No, it's true.
Okay. All right, let's move it along. President Muhammadu Buhari nominates Godwin Mfuwe for second term as CBN governor. President Buhari has nominated the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Mfuwe, for a second term. The letter for his tenure elongation was sent to the Senate on Wednesday last week and read by Senate President Bukola Saraki during plenary on Thursday. Mfuwe was first appointed by former President Goodluck Jonathan in 2014 and was retained after Buhari assumed office in 2015. Already there was discourse of, other people, being considered, and here we are.
Yes, this is one thing that the president has actually done well.
Right.
I'm not a fan of his, but I think I applaud him for this.
Okay.
I mean, it's the right thing to do. You see, the position of the central bank governor is not what you toy with, because whatever you do, it will fundamentally affect the economy. Confidence in the economy, will be affected. By renewing it, I'm not part of those saying, oh, he's done this, or oh, another Southside person has been appointed, which is what we think as Nigerians, and as far as I'm concerned, is silly and cheap. Do you understand? It doesn't really matter where it comes from. The point is that this man has done well. He has reappointed him. It is in the best interest of the government, to continue with him. By the time you now change the central bank governor, you come with another person. That person comes with another economic policy and all that. And then at the end of the day, you have just 4 years to do. And then you're trying to grapple with all that. Before you know it, your term expires. So it's done well by reappointing him. Let's hope that because it's not good to politicize, the position of the central bank governor. You cannot play politics with that. In fact, Alan Greenspan, who was the former chairman of the Federal Reserve, I think he served for about 14 years, with over, cut across, about two or three presidents. Yeah. So the president has done well for this, and I think we should applaud him.
For that. Okay.
I think it's a good one. For me, when the story broke, I said the issue of the Mfuwe is like this local proverb in my place. Let me say it in my language, and I will
try and translate
it for you. It says that
oh dear, Jesus Christ, have mercy.
That the Mfuwe to the Buhari government is like the blood in the mouth that you cannot spit out.
And you cannot swallow.
Okay.
Now, what am I saying? You see, Mr. President came in at a very difficult time where the economy was having problems. We moved from near recession into recession, and we are tactically out of it. And the role of that, the person that plays that key role in all of this crisis is the CBN governor. Now, you find out that Mr. President couldn't have done without him. There is nothing he can do. Also, don't forget that there was a lot of pressure on the government of Buhari to devalue Naira, which Mfuwe stood firm and said, we are not going to devalue this Naira, despite the pressure from international IMF, international communities and the rest of it. For them to do business with what we must devalue our Naira. And this man said, we cannot. And that aligned with the thinking of the Mr. President. And I also believe that with what he has done, it's a given that we are just merely celebrating. This is what is happening. This is what happens in other clients, that when you have done well, you are rewarded to continue. Yes. So we are just celebrating something that has been done well. Mr. President didn't have an option anyways. If you try, it's not issue of security. And that's why we're having a problem today. That because you were a former military, a former army chief, that you should bring in to supervise our security. It's not like that in other clients. Common police officers, some people who never belongs to the army, who were security experts in university, could manage the situation better.
Okay. I think I agree too. I mean, looking at Mfuwe's achievements, he has done really well. I mean, he's been able to stabilize the Naira.
He took us to the recession and brought us out.
Exactly. And also he was able to open up the investment and export windows, for more business in Nigeria. So kudos to both the president and to Godwin Mfuwe. All right, still to come on the bus this afternoon, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano State breaks 800 years old history as he makes a new one. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. thanks for joining us again. You're still watching The Buzz, Monday's edition. Remember, you can be a part of the show by sending in your contributions to the number 0802-836-8971 via SMS only. And we have someone reacting here who says, I agree with Mr. Peter on government support. It's high time the celebrities save for tomorrow. Let the government focus on the masses and the poor. All right, moving it along. Ganduje splits Kano Emirate. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, ignoring a subsisting court order, has appointed 4 new emirs in Kano State. With the installation of the new emirs, Ganduje not only reduced the powers of Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, but also mandated a 2-year rotational leadership of the Kano State Emirate Council among the 5 emirs. The new monarchs are Emir of Karaye, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar II, Emir of Rano, Alhaji Tafida Abubakar Ila, Emir of Bichi, Alhaji Aminu Abdul Bayero, and Emir of Gaya, Alhaji Ibrahim Abdul Gadur. According to Ganduje, we are taking Kano to the next level, and we need the active participation of the traditional system, especially in the areas of education, security, agriculture. By decentralizing the emirate, we followed history. Years back, the situation was not that. So if something developed 800 years ago, things are also developing now, and there will be another 800 years. So look at the history. All right, how do I put it now? Ganduje Sanusi Tosso, has actually sparked some sort of debate on social media. People are alleging this might be punishment for the emir of, or the embattled emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi, for his blatant support for the opposition in the last elections. How did you actually...
it's a difficult one. It's neither here nor there. But if you ask me, the obvious thing is that Sanusi is being punished for his actions.
Really?
And the question is, what are his actions? First, he's raised... the people are embarrassed by the Gandola scandal.
Saga, yeah.
They didn't like that. They felt embarrassed by it, and the fact that it was even actually swept under the carpet. And don't forget that this is Sanusi, a Lagos boy, very exposed, intellectual, went to King's College, very sound. So he's not in the mood of your average, Aboki kind of thing. Yeah. And so he's advocating for education, even for the girl child. For them, that is, unheard of. I don't know if you understand.
I do.
So these are the major things. They're coupled with the fact that he questioned the attitude and approach of Buhari administration in running the economy. They didn't find this funny. But the last straw was his support for the opposition, and that support for the opposition was based on the non-performance, so to speak, of Ganduje, coupled with the embarrassment.
Exactly.
So, because if you notice that immediately after the election that Ganduje won the rerun, they went straight to government house, started pulling down the emir's pictures, pulled it down, even in the coronation hall and all that. So, and the silence, the seeming silence of Aso Rock in the whole of this sends a very, very bad message. But come to think of it, to see that, this is actually targeted at Sanusi and not basically to, what's it called, develop or move into the next level like Ganduje is alleging. Now look at it from this way. 48 hours, the petition was written to the State House of Assembly. 48 hours after, it has been debated, it has been passed, and it has been sent to the governor. The governor had assented on it. Hang on, that's really strange. Not just in Nigeria, but in Kano.
Not only assented, it had also been
immediately implemented.
They started, the elders who had also signed
immediately, started implementing. So he raises question. So it's a fait accompli as far as that concerned. So he raises question of, complicity and conspiracy. As it were. So, but for me, it's unfortunate. It tells you what politics, is all about in Nigeria. yet again, as a historian, I'm concerned because it has kind of destroyed the, if you like, the historical relevance of the old Kano Emirates.
Exactly.
It is no longer, what it is. Just like the outgoing governor of Oyo State tried to do with that of Olubadan. You see, we must respect history, especially history that has to do with our tradition.
History we were being taught in school.
Exactly.
History that I still, still makes me proud as a Nigerian. But then let me come to Mr. Ofose. Do you think this is absolutely necessary? Because the governor talked about, demystifying the powers of the emir, because Kano has been stagnant for a bit and they need to move that state forward. How is this going to help in any way?
You would have seen the reaction of the governors when the NFIU made a proposal that going forward that the local government's revenue allocations will be paid directly
to them. Okay.
You would have seen how they reacted. That is how terrible it is to diminish someone's power. I mean, well, let me start by saying that Emir Sanusi is not stranger to crisis, controversies, and the rest of it. He has always been very critical of every government, even the one he served in as the CBN governor. Remember, Emir Sanusi has never been someone that tack along with any government in power. He always spoke out, like people used to say, speak truth to power. Whether it's truth or not, he's always his view. And even when he became the emir, you also know that government played a very important role in him becoming the government at that time. Exactly. What's his name?
He supported he supported the opposition.
A major role in him becoming an emir at that time. You also, another big problem that we have is that when we begin to immerse our traditional structure into the government, where government must be, a politician must be the one giving a traditional father the staff of office. And at the end of the day, when you need something, when you want for re-election, you now go back to the same person to kneel down for the blessings. That is where the power, that's where the problem comes from. In other climes, the system doesn't work like that. The politicians don't meddle into the traditional society, where the Obas or the chiefs, the Obeng of Calabar can. It's just like Obeng of Calabar in Calabar. A government does not have, we cannot say who is going to be Obeng of Calabar. It's not attainable. It's not possible.
It's not within your...
It's not possible. A government cannot dethrone. The Cross River State government cannot dethrone Obeng of Calabar. It's not possible because you didn't make him in the first place. Like what is happening in the Kano Emirates. The problem that we have in Kano Emirates is that the Emirate has already allowed the government to infiltrate their ranks. And the problem will continue. Okay. Because the moment the governor find out that, because you know that the emirs wields a lot of power, so huge powers, that if he says this should be done, and governor said this should be done, the people of Kano will
will go with the MM.
I'm telling you.
Okay. All right.
So that how powerful the man is. So for the man to whittle down his power, to reduce his influence in the society, he needs to decimate.
But can we talk about the subsisting court order, though, that restrained Ganduje from
after he had been appointed. Do you understand? But they should still pursue their case in court, because even PDP alleged that what's it called, the committee was not, the house was not properly constituted.
Of course.
Yeah, so it was the Kano State government said they received the what's it called, the directive of the court. The court order after
at 5 o'clock after everything had concluded. However, that notwithstanding, I think the proper thing should be done. I think, like Peter mentioned earlier in his remark, that the presidency silence is so loud.
It's deafening.
It's so loud
on this issue.
On this matter. And I think at this point, Muhammadu Buhari, the president, the federal.
But sorry, I'm butting in. Would you say the presidency is quiet on this issue because Sanusi himself, the Emir of Kano, is facing charges? For corruption, misappropriation of finances.
No, it's not true. They started digging. Okay. You see, when he did this, as at last election, he wasn't for APC, he wasn't for President Buhari. Of course, it was obvious. So you see, we must. That's the problem some of us have with the Buhari administration anti-corruption crusade. Do we want anti-corruption war? Of course, we want it. But is the anti-corruption war being fought sectionally? Of course it is.
Selective.
Yeah, it's selective. Okay. It's not, so that's the problem. Did you follow? So the Sanusi was being investigated, because he jumped ship. He's no longer with you. He there too. Did you investigate him though? No. So all these are coming up because,
Peter, don't also forget that Sanusi cannot pay good for evil. Sanusi will always pay good for good. Don't also forget that the man that brought Sanusi to become an emir of Kano is Kwankwaso.
Yes.
Who protected him against the Goodluck Jonathan government from arrest at that time.
Yes.
So we are all students of history and we know how these things play out. Look, it is a no-brainer for you to see that the emir would still towards somewhere, despite the fact that he's not overtly against the president. Okay? For saying that some certain things have not been done well doesn't mean that it's against you. Probably it's a piece of advice that will help you.
But Mr. Godwin, of course, we all saw the handwriting on the wall, at the last elections. But then let's come back, and put this topic in context. 3.5 million unemployed youths in Kano State. How will the creation of 4 more emirates, how will it reduce unemployment in a state like Kano?
It will not, and that is the worry of the likes of Sanusi and some of us. So rather than Ganduje and his team focus on how to create jobs and how to engage these people and how to provide education for them. In fact, in the last administration of General Goodluck Jonathan, a conscious effort was made, by building these Amajiri schools and all that to take them off the streets. And other things. So, but these people have come now and they thought it wasn't the right thing and they just cancelled all that. But the point here that I'm trying to make is that Ganduje and his people should not forget the point that this man is trying to make, that the North should embrace education. It is very germane, that education is very key. So he has not been able to tell us how to create more jobs or to create jobs, as it were, how to move these people away from the streets that are appearing more like urchins. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, he has a lot to answer than attacking the man.
For me, I think what Ganduje could have done, like what Lagos did in 2001, 2002, I guess, when they decided to create the development areas out of the 20 normal local government that they have, they created additional 37, all right, or 34, which becomes about 54, 57 today. Now, I don't know how Emirates in Kano create jobs. I don't know how is that going to help. If Ganduje said, they have 44 local government in Kano right now. If Ganduje said, okay, let us begin to get government closer to the people and begin to share the local government into 2, and it becomes 88.
Right.
Okay? And as 88 chairman, the money that you are going to get from the education you are going to get is for the 4 local government. Then when you bring it, you now know how you are going to share it among the other 44, then it's understandable what Lagos State did, right? But for you to sit down and say, like, for instance, that you are going to Benin to begin to demarcate where the Oba of Benin limit should end. This one should start from here. You begin to have Oba of Edo, Oba of this, Oba of that. At the same level with the Oba of Benin, then we are going to cause problem. I think some people, government people should learn, or politicians should learn from history. Should also have learned from what happened to his in-law in Oyo State. All right? When he wanted to whittle down the powers of Olubadan. You understand? Because people don't learn. And Ganduje forgot that it's just how, if by the grace of God, he wins at the tribunal, he wins at the Supreme Court, and he wins at the appeal court, he wins at the Supreme Court. Yeah, it's just 4 years. That when he comes out 4 years, it's going to be like Kwankwaso, who was his Oga, before he becomes the governor. Where would all of this lead you to?
My last take on this, Patience, if you don't mind, is that this is a lesson, and we must all learn from it. the earlier we, you know, separate politics from our traditional institutions, the better. There are first-class traditional rulers in this country that do not get involved in politics. In fact, in Imo State, Rochas Okorocha so dealt with the traditional institutions that they suddenly became, yes. Do you understand? And I'm a witness to what he did to some of them, and they became, inactive and useless, as it were. But there are first-class traditional rulers in this country that do not get involved in politics. Watch the Obi of Onitsha. It doesn't. Yes. Do you understand? Oba of Benin. Do you understand? They are even the Asaba of Asaba. Please now face what forget politics. Politicians will normally come to you for their blessing and all that. You bless them. You wish them all the best. Yeah. You can advise them. The Queen of England does not get. It doesn't make any impute. They just bring the Queen's speech for her to read at the Parliament. She reads that. She does not condemn government. She does not applaud government. She does not. She just take distance herself away from politics. The moment you begin to bring the two together, it's like playing with a child. You see a 10-year-old child. You say, rather than say my daughter, you say my wife. And you say my wife, you say get out. You have insulted yourself. So that is what is happening to the traditional institution by the embrace politicians.
All right, we're still looking at Ganduje splitting Kano Emirate, and the take-home from this development is this. Kano now has 5 emirates, as it were, and they are Kano, Rano, Gaya, Karaye, and Bichi. 36 local governments areas were removed from the 44 in Kano to create 4 new first-class emirates. And until the split, Kano was one of only 2 states in Nigeria with 1 emirate or traditional council. This bill diminishes the domain of Sanusi, the Emir of Kano, who reportedly opposed the re-election of Governor Ganduje. Now, while this is ongoing, the embattled Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi, has just landed himself a new UN job. According to the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, he announced the appointment of His Royal Highness Muhammadu Sanusi II, Emir of Kano, as one of his new Sustainable Development Goals SDGs advocates for 2019 to 2020. Sanusi is the only Nigerian on the 17-man list of SDG advocates from around the world who are tasked by the Secretary General to promote the goals, raise awareness with new audiences, maintain global commitment, and call for greater ambition and scalable action to achieve the SDGs by the year 2030.
Good development. The lesson from this is that we must in this country stop demonizing and rubbishing our bests. We are witnesses to what this present administration tried to do with Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She's a star. You can't change that. Exactly. We should be proud of her attainments internationally and otherwise. And as you try to rubbish her in your funny country, they are, using her, and projecting her. Yeah. Good luck to you. Okay. They've started doing that again with Sanusi. There's nobody without fault. He may have his own challenges, What I have against him is, the falsehood he peddled in the previous administration, which was well captured in Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's book, when he said that 49.5 billion was missing, and it wasn't missing. And he changed it later on another. It created a lot of controversy. But that does not diminish the fact that the man is brilliant. That does not diminish the fact that he had a distinguished banking career, rising. If I got to the pinnacle of his career. So other people have seen his value, and they want to use him. At times, we should try to, play down on some of these embarrassment for selfish reasons, because these are some of our stars. And
exactly. All right, let's look at the feedback platform. Viewers are reacting. Jacob from Agege says, good day, guys. Governor Ganduje is just doing this because the Emir wasn't in support of his second term. All right, moving it along, decentralization of Kano next level is in order if Kano should move forward from Kanti Nganjiwa in Maiduguri. May God pardon us for charlatan attitude. Is it crime for us to speak the truth in Nigeria? I just don't understand our politicians. Governor Ganduje to Might Emir of Kano, #2 Muslim in Nigeria, His in-law in Oyo State did the same with Olubadan, and they call themselves Muslims. Okay, Mr. Phil Arebame from Ajao Estate says the reappointment of Mr. Emefiele was well explained by Mr. Godi Ofose. The president would have done otherwise if not for fear of economic inconsistencies. Phil Arebame again says on Ganduje is simply a primitive display of executive rascality to overburden governance just because he wants to get at someone. Balkanization of Kano's age-long tradition cannot stand. All right, Zira Fumi from Yola State says, I agree with Mr. Peter on government support. It's high time the celebrities save for tomorrow. Let the government focus on the masses and the poor. And went on to say, really enjoying your program. It's entertaining and educative. It's an eye-opener for people to know what is happening in our country. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Fumi Zira from Yobe State. Yola. Yola State. Yola State.
Yola is the capital of Adamawa.
Jerry Bahago from Kaduna says, Sanusi is a realist and a very intellectual person. He does not, he has done nothing to deserve this. All right, let's read a couple more, then we'll move on. Kano State will become a classless society if the split is allowed. APC, APC, APC. If you are against them, you are in trouble. Ganduje should remember tomorrow that what he did today will fight him back. All right, gentlemen, anything more to say on this topic so we can move on ahead quickly?
What I need to say is that I think the political actors in Kano should sit down and reevaluate whatever actions they have taken and see the way they can move forward, because it's not going to, the current action by the governor is an ill wind that will blow nobody any good.
Okay. All right. President Muhammadu Buhari has finally thrown his weight behind the call for the adoption of true federalism in Nigeria. Should we say yippee at this point? Okay, anyways, although his party, the APC, last year supported the idea with the inauguration of a committee chaired by the Kano State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, Buhari has been silent so far on the matter. Specifically, the committee submitted a report last year and made some recommendations, including devolution of power to states, resource management, internal security, and measure of state, among others. But here we are. Finally, the president is saying true federalism is the way to go in Nigeria. So, are we going to expect what we thought might never happen at this point?
Peter to start.
Let me jump. My view is not going to last more than 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
I hope that he will, walk the talk. You see, it's not just, making a pronouncement. What effort is he now going to do to implement? I thought that by now he would have been saying, okay, the next step is to do A, B, C. You see, the point is that the APC actually campaigned with this, in 2014, 2015. And it's taking them this long to come up with this so-called recommendation, meaning they were not prepared. They didn't know what they were campaigning with. Do you understand? So they set up this committee, and it has taken them this long. The committee have not said anything new. The same thing they have said is, part of it is what that has been said by the what's it called, that Jonathan set up this
Confab.
Yes, Confab. So if we're talking about implementation, what's true federalism? What's restructuring? We're saying the same thing, using different language.
Okay.
That's my view.
Well, I believe that what we are seeing today is a fallout from a country running a political party that without ideology. There are some true federalism should be embedded in your constitution as a party, that whenever you take over government, this is what you are going to do. Because my challenge is that if you are not running a true federalism, what are you running? When you have a democracy and you call yourself a federal democracy, that you are running with 3 arms of government, judiciary, executive, and the legislature. If you have all of this put together, what is stopping you from running a normal, a true, let me use their word,
phrase,
true federalism? What is stopping you? Now, if you go back to the state, you find out that the state, the governors are sitting like a demigod, dictating whatever happens. The worst thing that has ever happened to the democracy in Nigeria is to have a state House of Assembly. That is one of the most useless, let me use that word, arm of government at the state level. They do nothing. They just sit down there and write whatever governor wants them to write. In fact, the only legislative arm of government that we have is National Assembly and House of Rep in this country. If you want to know how ineffective the state House of Assembly are, go to those places, enter their plenary, sit down and see what they are discussing. Whatever the governors want, the speaker will take the file to the governor. This is what we have discussed today. Now, the moment the speaker is fall out with the governor, is impeached. You had one in Jigawa recently, and it's just about 3 weeks for them to go. They've already impeached the speaker. Now, when you look at all of these things, you find out that we are only talking what we cannot do. Mr. President never mentioned true federalism in his first term. Now he got a second term. He said, what is that? It's a mere destructive tendencies.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow. So, this is not excitable news.
It's not exciting for me.
Nothing new.
If Mr. President wants a true federalism, he is the only one right now that have the power to give us that.
But this is what a lot of Nigerians, have been clamoring for, restructuring or true federalism, if you like.
Exactly.
So if the president really, like you said, does not really mean this, how then do you begin to instill faith, in Nigerians to stay united and undivided, as it were?
Well, I don't know. What he needs to do at this point is Mr. President to talk less and work more, for me. If Mr. President is against restructuring in one hand and accept true federalism in the other hand, it's like speaking from the both side of your mouth.
Wow.
You're not helping anybody, because what you just did is to give journalists a news item and they run with it.
Okay.
And that's why we are discussing that quickly.
I share his thoughts, just to re-emphasize that he should now, walk the talk. We are tired of all this. He's only giving us something to talk about for the next 1 week, and then while they are busy doing something else.
Sad. All right, Mr. Phil Arebame, I think he concurs with the two panelists on the show. He says there's a disconnect between the president and his facial expression. I think it's a trap. On that note, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out this afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Godwin the Great of Ose. And thank you, Mr. Peter Osangbe.
Thank you.
Thank you, viewers, for being a part of the show. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing. Hope you keep a date with us. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.